Hello everyone. Welcome you to the second part of the chapter The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. So before proceeding to the second part, let us recall about the first part what we have discussed. So we have discussed first of all about the characters. The first character and the most important one is Murad, who is a 13-year-old cousin of the narrator Aram. He is a lively and a crazy person, but equally he loves his cousin, whom he offers to ride the horse for some time. Okay, then Aram, who himself is a narrator, he is a 9-year-old boy. He and Murad belong to Gargolanian tribe, and he justifies Murad's stealing of the horse by the principles of their tribe, that they could never tell a lie to someone, and they are always knowing the difference between what is right and what is wrong. Clear? Then another character is a simple farmer whose name is John Byro, and he is the owner of this beautiful white horse which Murad has stolen. Okay, so he is also very much sad over the sudden disappearance of his horse, which had been made few weeks back. Okay, then the another character is Uncle Khusro. He is the narrator's uncle, who was considered to be a crazy man, and he was very much impatient, short-tempered, and of some weird nature. Okay, so now let us discuss what happened actually. So Aram, who is the narrator of the story, he recalls an experience when he was 9 years old, and when he was sleeping in the early morning, that is near 4 o'clock. He heard a knock on his window, and he sees through the window that Murad was standing over a beautiful white horse, and he is asking that if Aram wants to ride the horse, then he has to come as soon as possible out, because they cannot afford to get caught at that particular time. So then we have discussed about the Gargolanian family rules, that is the principles. So they had no money and they were poverty stricken, but then also they were very much famous for their honesty. For a long time their reputation was well maintained, that they were proud and honest, and they never took advantage of anyone. Okay, then Aram explains about the white horse, how beautiful is it, and the smell is so much attractive that he wants to ride the horse and he would never let go this opportunity. Okay, so these all things we had discussed. So now let us see what happens in the second part. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Before him was our uncle Khusro, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and largest moustache in the Saint Jonkian Valley too. A man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. So I have underlined this, students, because in the previous slide we have discussed how Uncle Khusro, at any incident, he speaks this particular line. That was all, no matter what anybody happened to be talking about. Once it was his own son Arak, running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father was having his moustache trimmed, to tell him their house was on fire. This man Khusro sat up in the chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khusro roared enough. "It is no harm, I say." My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man, although Murad's father was Zorab, who was practical and nothing else. That's how it was in our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. The distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. So here you see now, Aram talks about his family's crazy streak, that how Murad was considered the natural inheritor of the crazy streak which is present in the tribe, and before Murad, who was having the similar nature, that is Uncle Khusro himself, who was considered very much crazy in the family. And once one incident, Aram says about Uncle Khusro, which we have discussed in the previous PPT also, that when Uncle Khusro's house was on fire and his son came running to tell him the news, then also he did not pay heed to it, or he was not at all attentive. More, what happened, he got much aggressive, much irritated, and he said not to pay attention to that kind of matter. Okay, so he was a negligent man who never used to have that much of courtesy to listen to the problems, that to be about himself also he was never ready to listen. Clear? And Khusro's caricature, or the pattern of his facial expressions, have been considered that he had a powerful head of black hair and the largest mustache in the San Joaquin Valley. So San Joaquin Valley is in the US state of California. It is a delta. So in that place, Khusro was very much famous for his largest mustache. Okay. And as Murad was considered having one of the genes of Uncle Khusro, though he is the not descendant of Uncle Khusro, then also as a member of a tribe, the nature travels from one person to another, not basing upon their blood relations. Okay, so the distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. So capricious, on the right hand you see what is the meaning, to be impulsive and unpredictable, and vagrant means which is not fixed. So here Uncle Khusro's and Murad's nature is not fixed. What they think, what they do at a particular moment, nobody knows. So they take extreme actions on some things which nobody had any clue of. Okay, not even the narrator Aram himself. Then we rode, and my cousin Murad sang. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country, where, at least according to one of the long interior valleys of California, some of our neighbors we belonged. We let the horse run as long as it felt like running. At last, my cousin Murad said, "Get down. I want to ride alone." "Will you let me ride alone?" I asked. "That is up to the horse," my cousin said. "Get down." "The horse will let me ride," I said. "We shall see," he said. "Don't forget that I have a way with a horse." "Well," I said, "any way you have a way with a horse, I have also." "For the sake of your safety," he said, "let us hope so. Get down." "All right," I said, "but remember, you have got to let me try to ride alone." I got down, and my cousin Murad kicked his heels into the horse and shouted, "Wazire, run!" The horse stood on its hind legs, snorted, and burst into a fury of speed that was the loveliest, the summer of the beautiful white horse thing I had ever seen. My cousin Murad was racing the horse across a field of dry grass to an irrigation ditch, crossed the ditch on the horse, and 5 minutes later, dripping wet, he returned. The sun was coming up. "Now it's my turn to ride," I said. My cousin Murad got off the horse. I leaped to the back of the horse and for a moment knew the most awful fear imaginable. The horse did not move. The kick was to be made, and he kicked. Who? Aram kicked into his muscles. My cousin Murad said, "What are you waiting for? We have got to take him back before everybody in the world is up and about." So now, all of a sudden, when they were having a ride together, Murad said to get down of the horse to Aram so that he could have a ride alone and he could enjoy to the fullest the journey or the riding of on the white beautiful horse. So Murad got a little jealous and he also wanted to ride the horse, and he was not given the chance first. So he also was so much proud, though he never had ridden the horse before in his life, and it was the first time, so he got a little excited and energized. So he also said that if you can ride a horse, I also can. So after you ride, you just give it to me and I will also have a first ride of my life. Okay, so he was so confident that Murad said, "Okay, I can give you a chance, but keep in mind not to harm the horse." Okay, so here we can say that what Murad means is that the horse lets him ride without any problems, so he is safe. Murad hopes that the horse lets Aram have a safe ride. If the horse does not treat Aram with the same respect, then it could be a dangerous ride for Aram. He may get bugged or thrown. That is precisely what happens too. So here Aram tries to ride alone and is eventually thrown off. Okay, and so now what happens, you see? So after enjoying the ride together, Murad wants to ride the horse alone. So Murad had a proper technique, and within 5 minutes he moved over the ditches, irrigation ditches and everywhere. And when he returned, he was totally wet because they have also ridden through the water. Okay, now seeing Murad so much enjoying the ride, Aram also wanted to do that. Okay, then when he was given a chance, so before that he was so much confident that I can do it. But at first when he got on the horse, he sensed a much terrified experience, or he had a fear inside his heart to face off the truth that he cannot ride. And he also was feeling it problematic that what are the techniques to ride a horse, because he does not know that you have to kick the horse first, then he it will be snorting, then you will be riding over that. So he had no idea regarding that, and Murad, seeing that, gave him instructions accordingly. And what happened now? Now Aram is on the ride. I kicked into the muscles of the horse. Once again it reared and snorted. Then it began to run. I didn't know what to do. Instead of running across the field to the irrigation ditch, the horse ran down the road to the vineyard of Dikran Halabian, where it began to leap over vines. The horse leaped over 7 vines before I fell. Then it continued running. My cousin Murad came running down the road. I'm not worried about you, he shouted. We have got to get that horse. You go this way and I'll go this way. If you come upon him, be kindly, I'll be near. I continued down the road and my cousin Murad went across the field. So they were very much concerned because when Aram was riding, he didn't know the technique to control the horse, and as that horse was also not properly trained, it jumped over and leaped over the vineyards and threw Aram down of it. Okay, and now it has gone to a longer distance, and now these two are very much terrified because before everybody would wake up, they have to find the horse. So that is why Murad said, I don't worry about you, how you are injured or how you are um, not in a perfect condition after getting thrown from the horse, but I am very much concerned about the horse itself, because now if we get caught, then we might be facing a lot of trouble. Okay, so the whole world is awake now. What will we do? I said. Well, he said, tomorrow morning. He did not sound worried, and I knew he would hide him and not take him back. Not for a while, at any rate. Where will we hide him? I said. I know a place, he said. How long ago did you steal this horse? I said. It suddenly dawned on me that he had been taking these early morning rides for some time, and had come for me this morning only because he knew how much I longed to ride. Who said anything about stealing a horse? He said. Anyhow, I said, how long ago did you begin riding in the morning? So now here Murad is very much concerned, and while they are searching for the horse, now Aram is interrogating him because how much perfection he has got, Murad has got about riding the horse, which grows suspicion in Aram's mind that it is not that it is his first ride, and before this also many rides he has taken, and now he has approached him for riding the horse because he really is concerned for his brother, and he knows how much Aram likes to ride a horse, or how much he wishes to have a ride once on the horse. That is why he has come. So he starts interrogating that beforehand also, from so many days he has this horse and he is practicing it, and the horse really knows Murad well as compared to Aram. Okay, so that is why it got a little bit trained, and he uh, who Murad himself knows the training and how the horse would react to the commands of the people who sit on him. Clear? So here what he wants to say, that now both are very much afraid. So Aram, first of all, he fell down and he kicked into the muscles, but he was not that much appropriate or proper in giving the command to the horse or controlling it. So Murad now is very much in confusion what to do, how to find the horse as soon as possible, because as it is now morning, everyone will be doing their daily works, and if anybody sees them, then they will be caught. So both of them searched for the horse in different directions. It took at least half an hour for them to find him. Then it was morning. Murad was thinking either to take the horse back or hide it until the next morning somewhere, because if they go into the village, then everybody would be seeing as it is the morning, and everybody will be noticing that from where these two kids have brought the horse. So rather than taking the horse into the interior parts, he decided to keep in a barn, in a farmyard, the horse hiding for for this day, and in the next morning they will think of something else. Not until this morning, he said. Are you telling the truth? So when Aram asked that from how many mornings you are practicing on this horse, so he said, who? Murad said, not until this morning. So he is a kind of lying which is very much appropriate. So now Aram is asking, are you telling the truth? I said, of course not, he said. But if we are found out, that's what you are to say. I don't want both of us to be liars. All you know is that we started riding this morning. All right, I said. He walked the horse quietly to the barn of a deserted vineyard, which at one time had been the pride of a farmer named Fetwajian. There were some oats and dry alfalfa in the barn. So alfalfa is a leguminous plant with clove-like leaves and bluish flowers. Okay, and barn is what is called a farmyard. Okay, a big ground which is a farm. So it belonged to a farmer, and they decided to keep in this deserted vineyard where nobody is present. Okay. It wasn't easy, he said, to get the horse to behave so nicely. At first it wanted to run wild, but as I have told you, I have a way with the horse. So now Murad is exaggerating his talent of having a way with the horse, means he had a different understanding with the animals, and he knows the way how to control and how to make them accept the command of the master. So I can get it into want to do anything I want it to do. Horses understand me. How do you do it? I said. I have an understanding with the horse, he said. Yes, but what sort of an understanding? I said. A simple and honest one. Well, I said, I wish an honest one, he said. I wish I knew how much to reach an understanding like that with a horse. You're still a small boy, he said. When you get to be 13, you will know how to do it. I went home and ate a hearty breakfast. That afternoon, my uncle Khusro came to our house for coffee and cigarette. He sat in the parlor. So here parlor means the sitting room, sipping and smoking and remembering the old country. Then another visitor arrived, a farmer named John Byro, an Assyrian who, out of loneliness, had learned to speak Armenian. My mother brought the lonely visitor coffee and tobacco, and he rolled a cigarette and sipped and smoked. And then at last, sighing sadly, he said, my white horse, which was stolen last month, is still gone. I cannot understand it. So here, as they were talking about how to escape from the situation, now they decided to keep hiding the horse in one of a deserted farm of a farmer. Okay, and they began to walk home, and they were talking about how Murad is able to control the horse and not Aram. So here in the answer, Murad says that I have a connectivity, or feel I have that much understanding with animals. That is why I can control them very well, and Aram needs a little time. So having that conversation, they went to their respective homes, and when they were having here, Aram was having his breakfast, he saw Uncle Khusro comes into his house, and following Khusro, another farmer comes whose name is John Byro. And John Byro is an important character because this farmer's white horse is stolen a month ago, and now he connects the story of from where Murad got this white horse. Okay, and he got a little frightened and terrified that if Uncle Khusro comes to know about this whole incident, then their possession or their principles of the tribe will be uh, going down, or it will not be the same as they have protected that principle or that image of Gaglonian tribe for so long. Okay, so here what is happening in the afternoon, Uncle Khusro came to Aram's house and he was sipping coffee and taking cigarette. Then when John Byro arrives, he said that his white horse, which was stolen the previous month, was still missing and it is not traceable at all. So John Byro also explained that that he is getting very much restless, that till now his horse has not returned or he is not getting any sign of that. So after listening all these things, Aram got much terrified and he decided to run as soon as possible and give this news to Murad so that they would not get into any more problems. My uncle Khusro became very irritated and shouted, "It's no harm. What is the loss of a horse? Haven't we all lost the homeland? What is this crying over a house? Oh, sorry, over a horse." So I said in the previous slide that they are immigrants. So that is why Uncle Khusro is telling leaving your own country is more tragic as compared to losing a horse. So why are you crying on this petty issues? So then that may be all right for you, a city dweller. City dweller means a person who lives in the city. To say, John Byro said. But what of my surrey? So what is a surrey? It is a light four-wheeled carriage with two seats facing forward. In this situation, a horse is really needed or it is very much important. So what good is a surrey without a horse? Pay no attention to it, my uncle Khusro wrote. So the same dialogue Uncle Khusro said. I walked 10 miles to get here, John Byro said. You have legs, my uncle Khusro shouted. My left leg pains me, the farmer said. Pay no attention to it, my uncle Khusro wrote. The horse cost me $60, the farmer said. So it is very much tragic on the part of the farmer, that is John Byro, because he had given a lot of money for buying that beautiful white horse and he cannot walk because of his leg pain. In both the situation, he is very much sad and in despair. I spit on money, my uncle Khusro said. He got up and stalked out of the house, slamming the screen door. My mother explained. He has a gentle heart, she said. It is simply that he is homesick and such a large man. So as he is missing his country, as he is an immigrant, he is not enjoying over here things. So all the irritation and all the disparity is coming in front of every people who is dealing with Uncle Khusro. So here narrator's mother said to John Byro not to feel bad what Uncle Khusro is saying, and he is not meaning it from heart. He is a very good man. He was sitting under a peach tree. Who? Murad is sitting under a peach tree, and now Aram has reached to give the information regarding John Byro. So what Murad was doing, he was sitting under a peach tree trying to repair the hurt wing of a young robin which could not fly. He was talking to the bird. What is it? He said. The farmer John Byro, I said. He visited our house. He wants his horse. You have had it a month. I want you to promise not to take it back until I learn to ride. It will take you a year to learn to ride, my cousin Murad said, because he was very much confident that Aram, though he is longing or is having a wish to ride a horse, he is very much afraid. And if he has to keep for Aram to learn the horse, then it will take not more than a year to Aram to learn properly the techniques of riding a horse. So we could keep the horse a year, I said. My cousin Murad leaped to his feet. What? He roared. Are you inviting a member of the Gargulinian family to steal? The horse must go back to its true owner. When? I said. So now these two brothers came into an argument. Okay. So Aram wanted Murad that he should keep the horse for at least some more time so that he could learn riding. But Murad knew very well that Aram will take a lot of time and it is not possible in reality to keep the horse for so long. So he decided that I will be giving the horse back to the owner as soon as possible. So as he did not have any bad intentions of solding it anywhere, so he decided to as soon as give the horse to its owner, so that the John Byro would not feel bad and he would get his property back. Okay. Now they decided the term within which they will be learning to ride the horse and how much time they will be spending, that is 6 months at the latest. After that they will be returning the horse to John Byro. Okay, so when they started practicing, when Murad rode the horse, it was very much smooth and it was very much nice to see him that he had full control over the horse. But whenever Aram started to ride the horse, again, instead of going to the ditch, it went to the vineyards and he falls again and again through the horse because he does not have that much of command and he does not have that much of practice, and he is first of all afraid to ride the horse, and that is why he was not growing in his techniques to control the animal. Okay, so when they were having this practice and after finishing it, when they were going back to the deserted vineyard to hide the horse, they came across who? John Byro, and they were very much startled to see this person in front of him. So now Murad said, first of all, before John Byro arrived that much nearer, he said to Aram that let me do the talking because I have a way with the farmers, because he knows how to divert the topic from the truth. Okay, so Aram stayed calm, and now Murad himself starts talking. So John Byro is saying, for a lovely horse, I could swear it is the horse that was stolen from me many weeks ago. May I look into his mouth? Of course, Murad said. The farmer looked into the mouth of the horse, tooth for tooth. He said, I would swear it is my horse if I did not know your parents. The fame of your family for honesty is well known to me. Yet the horse is the twin of my horse. A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart. Good day, my young friends. Good day, John Byro, my cousin Murad said. So, for checking, he first of all he seeked permission from Murad to see the teeth of the horse, and when the teeth also matched, so he but was not suspecting these two kids because of the Gargulonian tribe's principles and prestige of honesty and never saying lie to anyone or never taking advantage of anyone. That is why John Byro does not have that ill feelings. Okay, so here what is happening? John Byro wanted no harm over these two children, and one could interpret that it is very much clear that this white horse is belonging to John Byro, and for seeking approval, he checked the tooth also. Then also he is not interacting in a very grievous tone, or he is not angry and he is not suspecting in front by telling what all allegations he has to make on them, because he stopped himself by saying that whatever principles your tribe has, I don't have that much of um, doubt on you that you might have stolen it. Okay, so he did not seek any vengeance or he did not seek any punishment by thinking that these two kids are the thieves. So he had something very much important about believing in goodness of the human spirit and the principles which this tribe followed. Okay, so though he knew that they are taking his property away, he stayed calm and he waited for what results to come, whether in future he will get his horse back or not. Okay, so after having this conversation and not suspecting or um, directly getting angry on these two kids, he went his way just saying good day to all these kids and he left the scene. Early the following morning, we took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and put it in the barn. So now they realized, Murad realized his mistake, and the early morning, what the first work he did, he took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and put it in the farm. The dogs followed us around without making a sound. The dogs, I whispered to my cousin Murad. White dogs were there, and Murad was taking the horse into the farmyard. And here Aram was very much frightened that if he would be taking the horse inside and the dog started to bark, then John Byro would know. Okay, but then also Murad said what? They would at somebody else, he said. So he is very much confident that dogs will not bark at him. Why? My cousin Murad put his arms around the horse, pressed his nose into the horse's nose, and patted it, and then we went away. The afternoon, John Byro came to our house in his surrey and showed my mother the horse that had been stolen, and returned. I do not know what to think, he said. The horse is stronger than ever, better tempered too. I thank God my uncle Khusro, who was in the parlour, became irritated and shouted, Quiet, man, quiet. Your horse has been returned. Pay no attention to it. So the farmer in the early morning, when he saw that his horse is back, he was very much happy, and straight within his surrey he came to Aram's house, and he came to the narrator, and when his mother was there, he said that he is thanking God that his horse has returned, and many good things have happened, or good changes have happened in the horse, that it is much well trained, and it is not that much ill tempered. It is now having a better temper. Okay, when he left or when he missed him, and Uncle Khusro, as his nature is, he again shouted that if you have got your horse, then shut your mouth and you be quiet, and no, don't pay attention to anything else. So stay calm, don't make me irritated. Okay, so now we shall see what is the moral we get of the story, that there is something important about believing in the goodness of the human spirit and seeing the best in others. So here, who saw the best in others? That is John Byro. Because of the Gargulinian tribe principles, he never accepted, though a little suspicion was there in his heart, he decreased it, and he took the positive point or the good point about that tribe, and he just neglected that these two kids might have done anything wrong. So in good sense, he treated the kids rather than suspecting them or alleging them on over something. So John Byro seems to implicitly understand that the boys must have a good reason, even a spiritual reason, for taking his property away from him. Surely one would not steal unless out of a genuine need. So he is that much um, honorable man that he thinks that if these two kids might have taken the horse also, so something genuine need would have arisen in their life. That is why they had taken, because they need help regarding something. So this gentle approach to catching the boys in the act results in his horse being returned the very next morning. Much to his delight, he discovers that his horse has been trained quite well and has grown stronger and more even-tempered in the time that it was missing. So due to his generous and forgiving spirit, Byro has actually gained something positive out of being the victim of a crime. So if he would have alleged them, then something negative might have happened, or something different differentiation would have come between the family and or between the friends. But he took it on a positive note, and now he got better results in his horse. So he was not being the victim of a crime, but he gained so many things. Okay, so this is truly a win-win approach to life. So here the kids are not blamed, and they have done something good for John Byro also. So on both the sides, both were benefited. Okay, so this is the story of the summer of the beautiful white horse. Hope you would have understood.